While you can get far in Apex with good rotations, smart ring positioning, and other non-combat skills, the bottom line is you're gonna have to win some fights if you want to win games. What's up guys, my name is Valued, and today I'm going to be taking a deep dive into one of my clips and then a pro clip to give you guys a clear look inside the brain of high-level players and break down the step-by-step plays. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting things off, let's set the stage. My squad has made it into the final two squads and we're within the ring. We have an Octane and a Wraith, and I'm on Mirage, the perfect normal queue team comp. And don't try to tell me otherwise. I'm also rocking a Rampage and a Peacekeeper, two powerhouse weapons that are a great combination. As I'm grabbing the nearby care package, my teammates ping that they spotted an enemy, and now the fight is on. This is the only remaining squad, so our focus should be on their positioning, as well as our positioning in relation to them and the ring's location. My teammates ping that they want to hold the high ground building within the zone, and one of them takes the jump tower to quickly join the other. This isn't a bad play because it gives them the highest position within the ring on the map. I almost join them, but opt to make another play instead, and this decision changes the entire way my team approaches the enemy squad. With me deciding to walk up on the enemies instead, I now have two squad members with clear lines of sight on me and the enemies, as they act as my overwatch. I opted into looking for confrontation early in this fight because the enemies are still out of zone and they're currently stuck in a really bad spot on this pill in the low ground. They not only are in a poor position to fight, but also are going to have the ring closing on them soon enough. While I could have backed off and let the zone force them in, this early aggression opens up a plethora of new play opportunities. As I push up the hill, I recharge my Rampage with a thermite, preparing to lay down some heat to keep them from climbing an incline into the ring. The first enemy is already making their way up as I get line of sight, and I get some tag damage on them along with my teammate, forcing them to retreat. I throw a few extra shots down at another enemy, keeping up the pressure. Even though I didn't deal much damage, I accomplished my objective of keeping the enemy from making it up the hill, pinning them in a poor low ground position. Because rather than pushing the enemies here, I instead let my clone grab their attention, and then in the meantime, I look to find an alternative angle that can help me to continue to abuse my positional advantage. My teammates hold down the original line of sight from above me, so I swing wide right, climbing the hill further in search of a new angle. Once I get further up the hill, I look to position myself on top of a nearby cliff ledge that should have a great line of sight down onto the enemy squad. And sure enough, as I peek the ridge, I have a great angle. Unfortunately, when I peek, my ramp time ends on my Rampage right as I started to take shots, but I still hit the Horizon and Revenant for big damage, cracking their shields. In this situation, the enemy is using the pill and its surrounding obstacles as cover, so I instantly look to throw an arc star to flush them out. Right when I throw the arc, I instantly go back into ADSing, waiting for members of the squad to come out of cover to avoid the blast. Sure enough, they scramble out like ants, allowing me to not only land some major nade damage, but also some free shots. This is a big reason why you hear every top player emphasizing the strength of grenades. Not only the extra damage, but having the ability to force enemies out of cover or hit big damage is so strong in Apex, especially in these late game situations. Alright guys, so before we continue with the analysis, I wanted to take a second here to mention to you guys, if you want a high-level player to do the exact same type of analysis that I'm doing here for your gameplay, check out ProGuides.com. There, you can pair up with a coach and get direct analysis of your gameplay and instantly improve your game. If you're interested, check out the top link in the description below and commit to improving. Now, back to the clip. The enemies managed to find cover again after taking a ton of damage, so I instantly look to use my ordinances again, this time throwing an arc back to the original spot and sending a frag to the area where an enemy had last time traveled to avoid the blast. Just because I just used nades doesn't mean it's not going to work again. With the enemy squad going right back to where they were, they still lacked the proper cover to get their bearings and retaliate against us. My teammates are beginning to close the distance on the enemy squad, and the squad doesn't seem to want to leave their cover, so I use these two nades to make my way into closer range. I slide off the cliffside and look to get involved with my Peacekeeper right after the nades go off. As I round the corner of the pill, I catch the Revenant sleeping and pump him for 100 with my Peacekeeper. As I do this, his two teammates then look to challenge me, looking to defend themselves. Knowing we have the health lead and that my teammates are pushing as well, I stick in the fight, jiggle in and out of cover between my PK pumps, and by using the cover of the pill, I'm able to avoid a lot of damage, stay in the fight, and maintain the attention of both the enemies in front of me. Now, although I miss a couple of shots, I'm able to knock the Revenant and deal enough damage on Horizon to help my teammate get the knock. From here, at this point, the fight is over. We're all pushed up and there's only one alive. I start to thirst for an armor swap, but once I'm being shot at by the last member, I just commit to pushing them with my teammates and we clean them up no problem for the win. This fight is a great example of how proactive positioning can make a huge impact in your games. When my teammates backed off to take high ground, I easily could have joined them and had a good position in the ring. However, this play would have given the enemy time to maneuver the map and maybe find their way into the ring safely as well. By recognizing that they were outside of the ring and in a bad position, I was able to hold them down rather than waiting for them to come to me. Even though this play that I did went against my teammates' initial plan, I stayed within their lines of sight and did not fight anything that they could not help me with. The patience in this fight really paid off as well. A lot of players might have just sprinted at the squad when they landed some damage, potentially getting knocked and making the situation a lot more difficult. Instead, I took the patient approach. I played the perimeter of the fight, looking for strong off angles and abusing the high ground that we had available to us. Good nade usage helped us to flush enemies out and get damage without having to commit heavily as a squad. And by the time we're pushing to clean up the fight, it was all but already won. So now you guys have seen my clip, but rather than go over another one of mine, let's take a look at an example from the CEO himself, Imperial Hal. As one of the best Apex players in the world, Hal implements the things that we've talked about and so much more into every second of his gameplay. Let's take a look at one of his pred games where he makes a really smart choice regarding his positioning and approach to a fight to help his team make quick work of an enemy squad. Starting off the clip, Hal and his squad spot out enemies in a building ahead of them. Hal instantly communicates their position to his team, pinging them and laying down some shots. Since he landed some damage through the window, he knows the target will look to reposition away from the window. Instead of holding this exact angle, he chucks his ash snare towards the original line of sight and does a quick pivot to the left. Since his teammates are already stepping up close to the gap, he continues to look over them, landing some more damage with his new, slightly adjusted angle. He hits a quick sell to cap out his newly redded Evo armor and then begins to close the gap on the building. But notice that he maintains a wide angle to the left. He knows that the Bloodhound on his team swung right, so Hal is really looking to find another angle to maximize his squad's potential damage. Hal steps up to throw a thermite into the building, but is forced to swing back wide to avoid the enemy Gibby ult. During this maneuver, he throws a frag into the building as well, and looks to hit some shots on the exposed enemy Gibby. He manages to get a quick knock, and you can see the friendly Bloodhound instantly look to apply pressure from the back of the building. And right here, this is the go button for Hal. But notice how he still maintains good spacing and cover while he makes an aggressive move. He peeks the Wraith on the left of the building with his R301, getting a bit of damage before she takes cover behind the box. From here, he moves up to the nearby ledge and swaps over to his Peacekeeper. Rather than fully pushing her like most players would, he uses the ledge in front of him as cover between shots, patiently waiting for the Wraith to re-peek him. By doing this, he's able to maintain good cover, preventing a lot of potential damage that she may have dealt to him. He knows she's the last member of the squad alive, but even then, he still values his positioning and health pool, looking to stay as healthy as possible while still closing out the fight quickly. This fight is just one of the millions of examples of Hal being an absolute legend. Many players would have exposed themselves or overpushed when they got that knock on the Gibby, potentially going down or taking a ton of damage and then dying to a third party. While you might still win the fight that way, by prioritizing his own positioning, Hal keeps himself healthy while still applying a ton of pressure with his team. He also recognized early in this fight that the enemies were stuck inside of their building, and his squad's swift decision-making allowed them to capitalize on the enemy team being stuck in a poor position. While these are just a couple of examples, these types of thought processes and decisions are what you guys should be making throughout your own fights. In my clip, I didn't hit any crazy shots or do any crazy mechanics. Instead, I positioned smartly, played the fight patiently, and used all the tools I had at my disposal before committing to finishing off the enemy squad. And then you saw Hal implement the same sort of approach to his fight as well. He stayed aggressive, exerting a lot of pressure, but he put priority on his positioning and looking for angles rather than just fully committing to the fight. We can all learn a ton from even just a simple clip like this, as there are very safe and reliable ways to be aggressive without all those times you get caught off guard. Alrighty guys, and that's gonna do it for these fight breakdowns. If you apply even a little bit of the strategy that I talked about today regarding positioning and patience in fights, you will be putting up even more damage and pressure in your games while surviving more too. As always guys, it's been your boy Valued. Let me know in the comments if you guys like this style of video right here and we'll make a ton more of them. But anyway, you guys know the deal. I'll see you guys in the next one.